Oh, hi there. I was just editing one of my podcasts here. I'm Dylan James Weaver, but you can call me Dylan, and this is the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. Hey, let's see how this thing sounds. Hold in! Okay, so it needs a little more work, but that's the exciting part, because you never know what you'll discover along the way. Oh, don't take my word for it, though. You can find out for yourself when you listen to today's Wad Fam Chalk Pod. Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
And I'm Andrew Sabo.
And we are here this week talking about episode 34 of Adventures in Odyssey, Stormy Weather.
This is a classic. This is a core memory of Odyssey for me, and perhaps traumatic, I'm not sure. Some of the sounds Wit makes in this episode are very concerning.
Well, there's that. So my history with this episode is I've maybe heard it before, but it gets I know clips of it very well because they get used in other episodes.
Yeah, this is an iconic Odyssey episode, and they do the big storm, big whatever causes chaos Odyssey episode a lot. They use that format, pretty
Sure,
regularly.
There's the tornado one. There's the one where they're all locked in and telling stories about love.
Yep, and then
there's the two.
Yeah, well, and then there's another snowstorm one that they just put out. They did a whole 3-parter on, and they like their natural disasters in Odyssey.
Yeah, well, I mean, what else is going on in a small town?
We'll get into it.
This episode first aired July 9th of 1988. It is the first one that we are talking about that is written by Paul McCusker.
Wow!
It was co-directed by McCusker and Lawler,
okay.
But McCusker's got sole writing credit.
Is McCusker the Twin Peaks fan?
Yes.
That makes so much sense.
This is pre-Twin Peaks, buddy.
Oh, wait,
this episode
what?
came out in 88.
Oh my gosh, it is. So this is a chicken or the... Wow. So Odyssey is the chicken.
Sure.
Yep.
Adventures in Odyssey inspired David Lynch.
Yep. All of that. Everything tied to that.
Why not?
It's all on Focus on the Family.
So, what else do we have
Cast?
of note about this episode? Yeah, I mean, cast-wise, this is the first appearance of Maggie Malooly as June Kendall. And we also have Angelique Adams playing Debbie. Now, Angelique Adams is not, has only ever appeared in this episode as Debbie, and Debbie's not a character who exists otherwise, but,
Apparently
she counts.
She was important.
I will give credit to Angelique. And, more importantly, we get June Kendall.
Gotta love her. Love June. Their relationship is... it's underrepresented, unfortunately, in the early parts of the show, in a way that I wish it wasn't.
Fair. Maggie Malooly also, for note, was the original Mary Barclay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we talked about that with the Pastor Barclay saga.
Yeah, I think she wasn't actually in any of those, but we talked about the fact that there was, one, and then we've talked about her as June Kendall as well, because she's June Kendall for a while. Actually, she's the only person who voiced June Kendall. That's my bad. Wow, okay. So we've talked about her before in that context. But that's I mean,
wow.
That's a good run. I guess, right, because they do the thing, right, okay, that's right, I was forgetting that she doesn't, like, she's gone way before her character dies.
Yeah.
That's what I was missing. I was like, she was June Kendall right up until the end, but no, she just gets written off and, like, isn't actually in those episodes. But anyway, that's what I've got as far as context goes.
Nice. Wonderful. So are we ready to roll the promo then, Dylan?
That is traditionally what we do now, Andrew.
Oh, goodness. I'm glad you remember my name.
Is this the end?
I wanted you to know that I'm leaving.
Next on Adventures in Odyssey.
You're leaving? For how long?
For good, if I can work it out.
A frustrated Connie Kendall decides to move back to California right in the middle of a severe rainstorm.
My leg!
Ah! Wait! There's blood! You're bleeding!
Will she go? Find out on the next exciting Adventure in Odyssey.
Now that is a top-notch promo. That's what I'm talking about.
It's wild that the promo, like, I guess the 80s were just, I don't know. This episode is, like, unsettling.
Yes.
Like, the like, it's, like, mildly horrific. All the rain stuff and like, Whit's leg bleeding and all that, and it's just crazy that that's in the promo.
Yeah, I am surprised that they went with the "is this the end" angle. Because
34 episodes in,
yeah.
We might be done. Because John Avery Whitaker is gonna bleed out live on air. Tune in today.
Oh goodness. Oh man. No, but yeah, this episode was one that I remember really liking as a kid, but it was incredibly upsetting. So I had like a lot of affection for it, but there were a lot of times that I just couldn't handle listening to it, where I didn't want to listen to it because it was so intense.
Yeah. Well, because this episode is on the album 2, which famously is the album Andrew owns.
The one that I own all the masters to. Album 2, Andrew's version.
Well, and I assume the copy of album 2 you have is, like, did you have, like, the Gold Audio Series one, the one that's actually called Stormy Weather? Or did you have... Okay, yeah, I figured. I figured that, because now it's the Wildest Summer Ever.
Yeah, they
and has, like, the bear chasing him up the tree thing.
From Camp What-A-Nut.
I figured, given your being an elder statesman and whatnot... that
thank you. I appreciate it.
That you would have listened to it
I'm a Gold Audio man myself.
Right. I, on the other hand, got it from the church library, so I listened to it on the cassettes titled Grins, Grabbers, and Great Getaways.
Wow! I did not know that there were 3 entirely different titles for this.
Oh, yeah. Like, for whatever reason, the early albums of Odyssey, I mean, I've just gone through a lot of titles, but they used to all be like series of 3 with alliteration. Mm-hmm. Grins, Grabblers, and Great Getaways.
Wow. Gotta love it. 1988. What a time.
I mean, I think it was after 88 till they actually put it on cassette. But, you know, I'll let you have it.
We'll go 89. Speaking of Taylor Swift.
Nice.
Thank you.
That was elegant.
I'm kind of surprised on myself. So the episode begins with Connie and Whit in the shop during the storm. Basically, it's been raining in Odyssey for days.
3 days.
3
it's
whole
been raining
days
for 3 days.
Yeah, that's not that long.
It's not.
Right?
I agree. I mean, like, it's close to the max for, like, one storm.
Yeah.
If it's been raining, like, truly just dumping for 3 days, then that is, like, impressive. But,
but
going,
like, hurricanes.
Sure. But, like, having there's no hurricanes in Illinois.
No. Famously hurricane-free. Those landlocked states.
Yeah. But there's plenty of... Yeah, like, that level of rain is I don't know. It's not that like I've been through like plenty of springs where it's just like the whole week is rainy.
Yeah.
Like,
and those are nice. I like a good rainy week.
Yeah.
Granted,
Yeah,
what is really highlighted, I think, in this episode is how little rain there is in California. Connie has no precedent for such dryness, and it is clearly very upsetting for her.
She has no precedent for the wetness, you mean?
Oh, yes, yeah. Oh, there's only precedent for dryness.
Right, well, it's the funny, where I was like, oh, actually, that's fair, and then Whit's like, when she mentions about, like, wanting to go back to California, Whit's like, you know, it rains there, too, and I'm like, does it, Whit?
Yeah, no, that was
does
my
it
thought.
rain in California?
I was like,
maybe
no,
the 80s were a different time, but, like, it doesn't rain in California.
California's famously been in a drought for, like, the past 8 years. They have the old, we have too many people problem.
Yeah, it also has a line where he says, like, get away from the window. It's dangerous to be near a window while there's lightning.
Mm-hmm. That stuck with me forever as a child. I will tell you that scarred me. And it's exclusively because of this episode and the sound effects the window makes when it breaks.
No, but, like, that's during a tornado. Then it makes sense.
Yeah.
I've never heard, don't go near a window while there's lightning.
I mean, I'm guessing it's the same principle of wind blowing in, you know, windows or knocking down trees and stuff. But granted, there's not much you can do, and yeah, no, that's bad advice.
Yeah, like, I'm like, of course you stay around it away from it when there's high winds, but if there's lightning...
Yeah.
You can be by a window.
Yeah, you can watch lightning strike in your front yard from a window.
Speaking from experience there?
No, but I've driven past things and watched lightning strikes through windows, so not in that specific instance, but I have. That's happened. It was terrifying, I'll tell you what.
Take it. Yeah, not a huge fan of lightning.
No, hot take.
I mean, like, it's
electric take, as it were.
It's cool.
Oh, yeah.
From, like, yeah, you know, from a very far away amount. But, yeah, every once in a while I'm reminded of the fact that, like, lightning's still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that it's just... Yeah. There's just electricity that shoots down from the sky and occasionally kills people and ruins things.
Yeah, it's like my parents own this home with, like, this huge barn on the property that has lightning rods all around the top. I remember being a kid and, like, seeing those lightning rods and just being like, we should just take those down and sell them for copper. And my dad being like, lightning still exists. And I'm like, oh, right. Like, lightning rods seem like an old-timey thing we wouldn't need anymore, but I guess you're right.
Oh, no, 100%. The only reason, like, yeah, our house is one story, and we have big pin oak trees in our yard that are significantly taller than our house. So, no lightning rods needed.
Yeah, it's just, it's funny. It's like they don't seem like they seem, yeah, just so old-timey. But it's like,
yeah,
nope,
it comes with appliances, including lightning rod.
Oh, man. Then, in the middle of the storm, Tom bursts in and is just a lovely old man.
Yep. Oh, you know how I am when it comes to storms. Everything just gets so wet. And I can't tell if he's excited about the storms based on his reaction.
Yeah, he's playing it as, like, mildly excited.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, that's why I just, like, noted it as him being lovely. Where I'm like, it's not, like, he's not, like, super pro or against the storm. He's just very, like, matter-of-fact about it.
Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, well, something's going on.
Yep. And so it makes him some tea.
Yeah. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very good Wit episode.
It's just lovely.
Yeah. Delightful.
And, yeah. Then Tom starts to ask Connie about her judging the Bible Bowl, which, or he's like, I hear you're going to judge the Bible Bowl. The kids have been talking. They're all so excited. And she's like, and Whit from the other room is like, oh, no, I didn't talk to her about that yet.
Yeah. And Connie being poised on being fed up in Odyssey, gets very upset, and she makes very good points about the fact that she doesn't want to have all of her time spoken for because she needs to spend time with people her own age.
Yep.
I wish Connie would continue to fight on this behalf. I wish this could be a consistent through line in the show.
Yeah. Yeah, and she just does this whole, like, kind of goes on this whole rant about being frustrated with being preached at, that, like, obviously they're not intending to, but, like, her, like, both of them and the kids are just, like, constantly, you know, preaching at her.
Well, and she's 15. That's the big thing, and that, like,
that is the huge revelation of this episode is Connie gets aged.
Yeah. She's 15 years old, and, like, she should be with people her own age, as most, ninth graders are.
Yeah. Fifth grade.
Yes.
Yeah. 15. 9th or 10th grade. Like, she's early on in high school. Mm-hmm. Then she just kind of storms out into the rain.
Yep. Yeah, she just gets up and leaves and walks out into the rain. Because Whit said earlier that she could go home. And so she decides to leave.
Yep. Takes him up on his offer. Mm-hmm. She goes then over to Debbie, who is a friend who is home and who has, like, a good... Like, they have a really good repertoire here, which is weird for a character that has never appeared before or since.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like when... Yeah, like, it sounds like they have... Which, I mean, is, like, props to the writing of the show that they give her so much, like, all this built-in history. But also, it's funny that, like, that we just, like, all of a sudden in this episode find out, like, Connie's got has, like, people her own age who she's friends with in this small town who aren't Christians and who, like, keep asking to hang out with her, and she turns them down because of work. And I'm just like, this is all coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, definitely. It does come out of nowhere, and like you said, it does not come back.
No, and I'm like, I would love to have seen all the stuff leading up to this. Instead of her just, like, showing up at Debbie's. And Debbie's, like, worried that Connie's getting religious. And I'm just like, all of this feels like dialogue that would have been given to, like, Connie's friend back in California. But no, this is just, like, a person she's friends with in Odyssey. Like, a friend she made. Debbie then weirdly references, like, that she's going to be hanging out with Donna. Like, Donna and the gang are coming over later. And I'm like, what is this? What is the situation in which, like, you're getting on Connie for being religious, but you're cool hanging out with Donna?
It's got to be a different Donna. That's my thought. So, because Donna couldn't, there's no way Donna would be 15.
Oh.
I feel like she's...
Yeah, I guess you're right. Okay. I guess more than one person can have the same name. That's dumb.
Yeah, well, only if they're not important enough to be ever mentioned again.
True. Donna's introduced as a character on this album, though, right?
Yes.
So, yeah. There's that. Now I'm like, yeah, it's on episodes before this one. So it is just a weird decision, but
maybe you're right. Maybe it is the same Donna, and she's just squirreled her way in with the cool kids.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
I'm rooting for it.
Yeah, we're all Donna fans around here
in these parts.
But yeah, it's just like it's a rough scene because I feel so bad for Connie, and it's like this is her, like, one glimpse at, like, having a friend.
Yeah.
Her own age. And, like, the thesis of this episode then becomes, like, I don't need friends my own age. And I'm like, no, but you do.
No,
like,
but you definitely
like,
do.
I'm cool with you having friends who aren't your own age as well. Mm-hmm. But you do need some friends that are your own age.
Peers,
please and thank
notoriously helpful.
Yeah, this episode is so close to, like, some of the Aubrey Erica stuff.
Yes, very much so.
Like, this scene maybe works if Debbie, like, is from California and just moved to town. Then it's literally just that. But yeah, it's not bad. It's not particularly good. It's just kind of, it's striking.
It is, and it's very different, and the fact that Connie left Wits End, which is very familiar, and then walks directly to a completely unknown place with unmet people that have apparently previous established relationships is very strange. And yeah, it's I agree. It's kind of upsetting, Connie's getting distance because she's not, she's preoccupied with work and everything. And Debbie says, like, yeah, when eventually when you always say no, people stop asking. And that is, like, a deep-seated fear of mine that I can totally trace back to this episode as, like, a thing that Odyssey has done maybe for me in a good way and a bad way, in the sense of, like, yeah, if you tell people no for long enough, you cannot expect them to stick around.
Right. Well, yeah, it's just like, that's just general flakiness.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even specific to this situation. That's just like, yeah, if you're, for better and worse, like, if you're a hard person to pin down to hang out with, people are, like, I don't know, it's going to be tougher for them to do so.
We should have Brendan on to explain it.
Wow. Shots fired. Past and future guest, Brendan Acebo, friend of the pod, and you're just throwing him under the bus.
Well, I mean...
And also, I have plans to hang out with him this coming week.
Good for you. That's exciting. Are you coming over?
Yeah, planning on it.
Well, I look forward to it.
You can half watch a movie with us while you're on your phone and walk in and out of the room.
Yeah, it'll be great. It's a blast, honestly. It's my second favorite way to enjoy a movie, as opposed to sitting there on my phone the whole time.
Right. Oh, I see. I thought your favorite way was to, as the movies start, read the summary and cast list.
No, that's before it starts.
No, it's as it starts, Andrew. That's the problem, is I press play on a movie and then you start looking up stuff about it. And I'm like, we're already watching it. Just watch the movie. I'm sorry. This podcast is not where I air my grievances at Andrew.
It's true. My movie watching habits are atrocious, though, and I'm not I should be ashamed of them. But this won't keep me from getting elected into political office, like some things I've said on this show.
Yeah, I mean, look, like, and you don't, I don't know. Like, I'm probably too far the other way, and it's not, and I don't want to be like, I don't want to be a jerk about it.
No, you're fine. And I don't think that you ask anything unreasonable.
Yeah, but Andrew, I want to.
Oh, I know.
So then Connie leaves Debbie's. We go back to Wit's End where there's a tornado warning issued. Mm-hmm. And June has called Wit looking for Connie. And Wit's like, oh, she left here a little bit ago. I figured she was going toward home to you. And I'm like, I guess June was maybe just checking up on her. It's like Connie was scheduled to work. Mm-hmm. So I would assume that she was just going to be there. But maybe she just wanted to see if she's doing okay in the storm and whatever else. And
yeah, we can yada it.
Yeah, and then, like...
That's an excellent one-sided telephone call, though, I will say.
Oh, I didn't even think about it, but you're absolutely right.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean... I wish I had written it down word for word, because it's actually good in the way that they do the exposition. It does sound, like, fairly natural, despite it being incredibly expositional, which I think Odyssey probably has to be better at, because it's an audio-only medium than, like, a TV show.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure, that's, like, a thing. And this episode... just through and through sounds great.
Oh, yeah. The score is incredible. It's very Twin Peaksy. All of the synths and everything, and how kind of dank and moody it is. Like, very much,
Yeah.
lumber mill. Where is Twin Peaks? It's in Minnesota?
No, sir. It is the Northwest. It's like a Washington or Oregon.
Oh,
Actually,
Washington.
it's Washington because it's very close to the Canadian border. Washington's the one
Excellent.
on the top? Yeah, it is.
Yes, Washington.
Yep. So, anyway.
This has been geography.
Not geography corner. Just geography.
Just geography. Introducing the topic.
Welcome to Geography. I'm Dylan Weaver.
And I'm Andrew Sabo. Countries. They exist. See you next week.
So yeah, Wick's gonna go out looking for Connie. Then we cut over to Connie making it home, and pleading with June to go to California. And this is our first scene ever with June Kendall.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense considering.
It's just right, but it's once again like they do a really good job of it feeling natural.
Yes,
of like
yeah.
same with Debbie, where you're like, I don't feel like I'm meeting this person for the first time. You're not doing any sort of weird exposition or like setting them up particularly. You're just like, here's a human being.
Yeah.
They're going to interact with like the character you already know as though this is not their first time interacting, because it isn't.
Well, and I think that the natural disaster circumstances are really good for that sort of thing because it creates a very obvious precedent for interaction, you know?
Yeah, but I think it's a thing through and through that like early Odyssey does so good at building the mythology of Odyssey. Because like an episode we're not talking about, but like Recollections, which is the like flashback to like, you know, Whit and Jenny and how they wind up and how he winds up getting Whit's End in the first place, and like that whole thing is an episode in like the first, it's like episode 17. Like it's so early on in the show.
Yeah.
And it's establishing all of this stuff that goes on before the show exists, but not in a way that feels like it's like an information dump, in a way that feels like it's just like referencing back to those things.
Yeah, it's
And
like a story a person would tell, and you care about this person because of previous experiences.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's really impressive how, like, there are enough Odyssey episodes that flash back and whatnot that I, as a kid, I think, like, you fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
Like, I, as a kid, not knowing that this is the only episode Debbie has ever appeared in, can easily assume that she's in other episodes that I just haven't heard. Because when there's 900 episodes, there's some that you have never heard. Maybe that was a cassette that friend of the pod Adam Decker lost from the church library.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that was one that never actually made it off radio and it's just being referenced here. Like we talked about last week, we were talking about the creation of the Bible room, and like that later is like a flashback scene that we get in an episode because that they stopped airing that episode.
Yeah.
But it's just like they just do such a good job at the world building and making it feel full and not ever. I mean, the fact that the first Barkley episode is Family Vacation. And it's like, that doesn't feel like, that's not like an introduction episode.
No, I went into it thinking that the Barkleys had been there since the beginning of the first album.
Right. Like they just seem like, hey, this is the family this is like our family in Odyssey, and we're just going on another adventure with them when it's like this is their introduction.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really
It's like
wonderful.
Aside from like obviously Connie's introduction on the show is very pointedly an introduction.
Yeah.
But I like that the show doesn't do every character like that. That it's not just characters continue to spawn in the town of Odyssey, but it's like characters who have already been here for decades, we're now taking a peek in their life.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, like, characters like Eugene have done so well with, and Wooten particularly, I think, is somebody that had a role within the community that lended itself to being there sometimes and not being there others, and then they just went hard with it, and, you know, now he's, like, one of the main pillars of the show.
Right.
This is kind of off topic, but I was listening to the new Buck episodes after I listened to this, and just thinking about the fact that, like, so Whit talks in this episode about relying too much on Connie, which is alluding to him bringing in Eugene in the future, and the fact that 900 episodes later we're having, like, very quality story building about about Eugene's adopted son's origin story, you know. And, like, how far down this world building really goes and what it allows you to do with characters.
Yeah, it's a rich world, and yeah, I think that this is just, like, such a nice, I don't know, this is a nice lightning rod for that. So,
pun intended.
100%.
Yep.
So yeah, she's arguing with her mom and just begging to go back to California, and June's like, this sea is coming out of nowhere, and, like, once again, it's just, like, well written. Connie's like, well, like, I can see how you would see that, but, like, I've been debating this forever, and we as the audience have seen Connie do that. Like, it's not coming out of nowhere for us. This makes perfect sense, but I like that they let it catch June off guard. It's just good writing.
It's really good writing.
And yeah, she's just going on about, like, not having friends here, and June's like, what about Debbie and, like, those people? And Connie's like, well, they're not friends like what I have back home. And I'm like, they could be, you just spend too much time at Wit's End. You've just centered your life around this job.
Yeah.
Granted, like, I think one of the, like, this episode is kind of like, I don't know, shows, like, maybe Wit's over-reliant on Connie and whatnot, and that's pulling her away from being a kid. But also, Connie very pointedly took this job in order to get the money to go back to California. Yeah. So she hasn't really, like, her prioritization has been money, not friendships in this town.
Exactly. And like, she even makes the point saying, like, I have the bus ticket, like, I have this is what I've wanted, you know, I want to go back. And, you know, June resigns herself to say, like, well, I'll think about it. And then Connie freaks out and is like, oh, that means it's going to be a yes. Every time it's a no, you say no, but every time you say think about it, you're going to think about it, it's a yes. And the Katie Lee in this episode is batting 1,000. Like, everything she's touching, she's just smashing it over the fence. Whether it's Connie being upset with being fed up and not being in California, to her talking to her mom, to even the next scene where Connie goes and finds Whit in the rain, because after they have that conversation, June remembers that Whit went out looking for her. Like, all of the chaos and the climax of this episode, Katie Lee is just, like, the mental pictures I had of her performing it would have been insane. Like, I would love to be a fly on the wall and see her acting with Hal Smith to make this happen.
Yeah, it's good. Oh, it's good.
I wonder if Focus on the Family had security cameras in 1998 or 1988.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Well, if they had security cameras, I could potentially get access to it.
Oh, now okay. I was like, where are you going with this? I see what you're saying now.
It's the only possible way that I could see Katie Lee acting.
I doubt they had security cameras in the recording booth
where they keep all of their jewels.
Focus on the Family, you know, in the 80s. That seems unlikely. Actually, I don't even know where these episodes are recorded technically. Like, I don't. Who knows when it with the old episodes, but
Yeah.
like, are they recorded in California or Colorado Springs? Time will tell, I guess. But yeah.
So Connie runs up to Whit in the rain. It's
Right.
the sound of the rain
sorry.
is deafening. Oh, go for it.
I was just gonna say this is the point which June has the line of, "You should never put an age limit on friendship,"
Oh, yes.
which
Can't
I
forget
think
that.
is a good point, and I like. It just then kind of gets spun the wrong way by the end of the episode.
Yeah. We'll get there. So Whit is standing in presumably a monsoon. The rain is so loud and it's deafening. And Connie runs up to him.
He's
says,
hiding
John
out in
Avery Whittaker. What?
He's hiding out in Dale Johnson's shed,
Oh yeah.
which is not Dale Jacobs' shed.
No, Dale Johnson, different guy. Lots of Dales in Odyssey, surprising no one. But no Chips. Except for Greasley.
Dang it, Andrew. Good joke.
Thank you.
I hate it when you're funny.
This is what happens when I don't take my medication. Oh, man. Sometimes the voice in my head has a good sense of humor. So Connie runs up to Whit, coming to rescue him. Whit is in Dale Johnson's shed, and he just wanted to make sure that Connie was okay, which I was like, oh, Whit, you're so sweet, going out looking for Connie in the rain and all of that. And this is when Connie tells Whit that she's leaving, and that's where the line in the promo comes from. That she wants to go back to Colorado, and Colorado. She wants to go back to California. I need to go where my spirit is leading me, to Colorado Springs.
Home or focus on the family.
I've got my bus ticket, Whit. Just let me go. But yeah, so Whit is obviously upset about it. He has some feelings, but then they run back to the store because there's a tornado watch and there's lightning, and Whit spends the entire episode being like, wow, those clouds are bad. Wow, those clouds are getting closer. Wow, that sounded close. Wow. They do a really good job of breadcrumbing this very big storm that's coming in. And there's a great score of them kind of running through the rain, and then it cuts to them walking into Whit's End. And again, the synths are so ominous, and Whit walks in, and he has I've got a bad feeling about this moment right before the window explodes, presumably in slow motion.
Well, because Whit does have the gift of prophecy, as we've seen throughout Odyssey.
Yeah.
In a different way to how Jack has it, but, it's there.
It's definitely there. It's more Han-esque.
But yeah, it's just this moment where it just sounds incredible. The storm's building. Whit's like, get away from that window, Connie. She's like, why would I get away from the window? And then it just
yeah, it's so, I mean, I don't know, chaotic, the sound of the breaking glass. You can really get a sense of it, and then it cuts away to commercial break, and then cuts back for the conclusion of the adventure.
And this Chris is like, are Whit and Connie gonna be okay? And I'm like, boy,
they are going to bleed out on the floor.
Well, it's like this is already an intense scene, and then it's underlining it for children of I don't know, they might die.
Yep. Now you can see why I didn't listen to this one before bed too often. But definitely too many times, apparently. Yeah. So he gets hit by the broken window that blew in because of the tornado. Connie's freaking out. There's sounds of broken glass. Connie's voice is just jumping around, and like in the way that Connie does when she gets excited. It's really good. The inflection is incredible.
And Wit's really concerned about her and is like making sure she's okay, and then all of a sudden like they look down and he's got like a massive piece of glass sticking out of his leg.
Presumably just like half of the window is stuck into his shin.
So like unsettling.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, just the idea of Wit sitting on the floor helplessly is so strange to me. And you can really, you can hear the moving of the broken glass, and he's kind of struggling to get clear. He asks Connie to move some of the glass out of the way and go get the bandages, and then she comes back with the bandages, and they need to call for help, but the phone lines are dead, which was established in the previous scene, and Connie's freaking out even more because phone lines don't go dead in California. And Wit is very stoic throughout all of this. So Connie goes to the back to get the hand crank, or the battery-powered hand radio to call the sheriff, I guess.
Yeah,
I've never done that.
So it's a ham radio, and
okay. It's like a police scanner.
Yeah, we'll go with that. And like you can contact the police on it, or like you can go get onto their channel and say something, and they would hear it. But so she does that and brings it back, and then, but it's not working. And Wit's just quoting Psalm 103 like throughout this, in a way that is like really sweet and comforting, and doesn't feel like it's knocking you over the head.
No, I thought it's really great. Like, people using Psalms to get through hard times is my favorite use of Bible. As far as just reading the Bible for comfort in the moment,
And it's so, I think part of what makes it so good is it's not Wit saying, don't worry, we don't have to do anything, we'll just sit here and pray. Exactly. It is still him responding in a crisis. And giving Connie things to do, but just calming himself down through that.
Yeah, no, it's literally like a CBT exercise, essentially. Like, you would tell, somebody to, I don't know, like, punch an inflatable doll or something like that, in the same way that he's reading Psalms to help regulate his emotions and center himself. And it's really cool, and Hal Smith's voice acting is incredible, because you can hear the inflection of his voice change after he's been kind of like saying the magic words, as it were, but like he just sounds a bit calmer and his vernacular changes a bit. It was just a very haunting scene of him saying psalms to himself while he's bandaging his own wounds and pulling out glass from his leg.
Yeah. And the
note I have is Wit's War Days. So, and then
June Kendall arrives.
June Kendall comes in. The cavalry shows up and takes Wit to the hospital.
June to the rescue.
Yeah, she came in to look for Connie, to make sure everything was okay, and it's awesome. Like, it wasn't Tom that could have just showed up randomly again. Like, it was Kendall, who's somebody that was involved. Like, it makes sense that she would be here, and she is able to take care of the situation, gets Wit to the hospital. Tom does come by later, apparently, to board up the windows, because he's just a swell guy. And, he gets excited about wet things. Wet boards.
Yeah, and then we've got a scene in the hospital of Connie just, like, marveling over Wit's calmness. And, yeah, it's just really good. And
yeah. Yeah, well, Connie, she talks about Wit's being, you're always okay, like, you're always so calm, and then Wit kind of counters by being like, well, I need to apologize, because, like, I've been taking, you for granted, and I've been relying on you for a lot, and, like, you've brought a lot of value to the store, and I've been kind of selfish by not, being more mindful of your own needs, and to spend time with people your own age, which is really nice. And unfortunately, it's kind of then countered by Connie being like, no, Wit, I'm just gonna do whatever you want, because don't put an age limit on friendship. But yeah, no, it's Connie agrees to take care of the shop, and then she talks about postponing her trip to California, which is the big climax, and then Connie gets to give Wit a hug.
Yeah, Wit's just, like, very sweetly asks, like, hey, would you be willing to come over here and give me a hug? And yeah, I want a hug from John Avery Whitaker.
Me
That
too.
sounds,
really
especially
bad.
Hal Smith, Wit.
Yeah.
Like, none
of this Stoica nonsense.
Yeah.
Hurlinger would be fine, but
Yeah.
I
like,
need a
so
good
here's
svelte
the
Wit.
thing is, like, I want to get coffee with Hurlinger.
Yeah.
I want a hug from Hal Smith.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I feel like Hal Smith was. Well, let me look up pictures of him. He's got such a comforting voice. I can't imagine he wasn't, a jolly fellow to look at. Actually, not particularly. He had a very pronounced double chin.
So kind of looping back to the conversation, I think this is maybe, I don't know, this is the crux of the show or whatever this episode in a lot of ways, which is, yeah, Connie just kind of stepping up and being like, oh, look, I'm going to take care of the shop for a while while you're getting better. And then apologizing for moping around, but Wit apologizing for taking her for granted. And that just being, an important moment in their relationship of, like, it's not even, I don't know, it feels like it was going to be like a Wit butt apology, but then it's not.
Exactly.
Like, he does just fully commit to being sorry about that. Which, yeah.
We don't get a lot from Wit, and, like, given the circumstances, I feel like it's really important for their relationship to have him own his mistakes and be, as strong as he is while also being vulnerable when he needs to be.
Yeah.
Because that's, like, I think listening to Connie's conversion story, I'm getting so much of the Christian patriarch is superior kind of attitude, which is true. Like, I think, in the sense that, like, toxic masculinity is very much kind of shallow and not very emotionally vulnerable, like, and it leads to distancing and bad relationships. I see, especially in this episode, Wit just being very interpersonal and humble, in ways that he certainly isn't always.
Yeah. I like that I don't know. I like that Connie finds comfort and affection for Wit in this episode. I do really appreciate that. I wish it wasn't at the expense of, like, peers.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's where I probably have the biggest struggle with this episode, which I'm otherwise pretty gung-ho about. Like,
well, we're just burdened with having, 870 more episodes to know what they don't do.
Right. To know that, like, she doesn't get a friend until Penny. Like,
yeah.
is tough. And so, yeah, it just becomes this thing where I'm like very, very aware of it. But yeah, it's still, I don't know. It's still a nice scene. And I like Connie. I like Whit. Like they're, yeah. And I would say maybe my other thing where I'm just kind of like tired of it is Whit's constantly being like, really trying to like keep her from California.
Yeah.
It's just like continues to be mildly annoying. But like, yeah, I think that there's so much other stuff that comes from this that I like, that I don't want to be too hard on that point.
No, I mean...
And there are other episodes that have that worse than this one, and we've talked about it, and we will talk about it again. But in this moment, yeah, it's a sweet episode.
It really is. It's only got an 88% rating on the Adventures in Odyssey wiki, which is criminally low, in my opinion. It's got to be at least in the 90%. And it's got 55 votes, This is a classic.
Right.
This is
a
fan favorite.
Yeah. And Phil Lawler writing in the complete guide talks about like that it just as part of this like key storyline they were working on here, of kind of moving Connie in this direction. They kind of developed this as a stepping stone where to see like how Whit relied on his faith in a major crisis. Which is like nice. Like that's like that
is a very understandable and effective ministry tactic of just having your beliefs and holding to them tightly when things aren't going your way.
Right. Like I have so much more appreciation for that in contrast to like, you're going to take this kid with you and raise him in California? Like, don't you understand how much, responsibility you have,
Yeah,
or like,
exactly.
Just so many of the episodes we've talked about previously, I've been frustrated with how Whit represents his faith to Connie, who does not share that faith.
Yeah.
And this episode, I think, comes at a great contrast where it's like, no, this is just like, him not going out of his way and being forceful with anything, but not doing it, not living this way to show her so that she comes around, but just like a natural overflow of like, this is how I respond. Yeah. Yeah. It's good.
It really is. Oh goodness. Yeah, this might just be the difference between Phil Lawler and Paul McCusker, honestly, as far as what Whit's doing.
You make a great point, Andrew. I do like that. That's now my headcanon.
Okay, all right. Well, I look forward to continuing our analysis and seeing.
Phil Lawler's all about Phil Lawler's all about like putting words in Whit's mouth and making him this, vocal point, like this mouthpiece for the stuff that he wants to communicate. And McCusker's like, what if he's just like a nice old man who loves people and loves God?
Yeah. That's my Whit. That's my Whit. Nice old man who gives good hugs. And apparently can bandage his own wounds. Dylan, do you have any other takeaways from this episode?
No, I think that's where I end here.
Yeah. I've definitely said, I think, my piece regarding it. Big fan. I would be interested to do a like natural disasters in Odyssey mini arc where we cover the tornado and the snowstorms and everything. I think that could be fun. But yeah. Good times. Fun to revisit a a classic episode that is apparently deep within my subconscious, never to be removed. Maybe after I have children, maybe that's what I'll like. That'll bump it out of the way.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Anything you'd like to plug here this week, Andrew?
Natural disasters are often caused by climate change, so just
Watch,
recycling.
don't look up.
Yep. Watch, don't look up. Recycle.
Recycle. The actual plug of the episode is recycle. Yeah, I'm
Say
cool with
no
that.
when people offer you straws. Save the turtles. That's my plug.
Okay. Recycle. Save the turtles.
Phil Lawler's bad wit.
Yeah, I don't think I've got anything I want to plug. So yeah, I guess that's it.
Do you want to ask for feedback on the content for the club or for the bonus content?
What do you mean?
Just ask for ideas and feedback.
You can ask for ideas and feedback, Andrew.
Okay. For those of you that have chosen to get the bonus content that we put out twice a month,
or those of you who haven't and are interested but don't like what we're doing.
Exactly. Any recommendations or feedback, we would love to hear what you'd like us to do. Definitely we'll take a look at those. And yeah, me and Dylan have a blast making it, so we are open for whatever and are excited to keep making it. The email, as always,
is wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. Again, that's wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com.
Very nice.
Oh, man. Yeah, all right. And with all that being said, we will see all of you back next week for episode 45. What are we going to do about Halloween?
Oh, no.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
WadFam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliation with Adventures in Odyssey or Focus on the Family. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at WadFamChalkPod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. Stormy Weather is hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Acebo, and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more of the WadFam Chalk Pod.